What's up, guys? Welcome back to Brain Gains, and also welcome back to video number 2 of my series workout walkthroughs. The point of this series is to give you exercises you can do for either specific parts of your body, specific muscles more exactly, like your biceps, abs, quads, stuff like that. Or in the case of this video and my first video of this series, general parts of your body, like first video is upper body, and then this video is going to be lower body. A quick disclaimer before I start though, I'm in school for aerospace engineering, meaning I have no training, or I'm not certified as a physical trainer, I'm not a physical therapist, I'm not a doctor, not anything like that. So everything that I talk about and information I give you is from my own personal experience and things that I've learned. So, take everything with a grain of salt, as far as I'm not completely knowledgeable of how the human body works. So, I'm not responsible for any injury or anything like that results of things that I tell y'all to do. Just if you need to or you want to, talk to your doctor, or if you have a physical therapist or a personal trainer you want to talk to about these things, or if you just want to look them up on Google, feel free to do so before you do them. But I haven't gotten injured, or I haven't had any major injuries from any of these exercises, and I've been doing them for years now, and I've seen plenty of progress from them. So that's why I'm handing them off to you and telling y'all what I do, so that y'all can also, make progress with these exercises. But like I said, I'm not responsible for anything that happens to y'all if y'all do these. Do your research before you do them if you don't feel secure in doing them, and just be safe while you're doing them in general. So one thing I like to do at the beginning of these videos is just go over all the muscles that I'm going to be talking about. And so for your lower body, it's going to start at the top of the leg. That's going to be quads in the front. You have your hamstrings in the back behind your quads. I'm just going to refer to them as your groin muscles on the inside of your leg, and then your hip muscles are just your hips on the outside of your leg, and then your calves on the back side of your leg behind your shin. Your shin's not a muscle, it's just your bone right there, and so on your lower leg, all you have is the calf, really. I'm not going to worry about any of the tendons, because there's way too many to worry about. You got your Achilles heel, MCL, ACL, but those are all tendons, not muscles, so we're not going to be talking about those at all. But we're going to jump right into it. So the first exercise that I want to talk about is going to be either the regular back squat or the front squat. And these are just going to be pretty much a total lower body workout. It hits almost everything in your leg to some extent. It's not going to hit as much of your groin and your hips, just because the movement is very straight up and down. There shouldn't be much movement with your legs in and out. So you should just be going up and down mostly, into where those muscles aren't worked as much, but there is going to be some use from them just because it's part of your leg and you're using them. But the back squat, which is just the bar being on your back behind your neck, is going to be focused more on glutes and hamstrings, while the front squat, which is the bar is in front of your neck on the front of your body, is going to be focused more on quads. And it's just kind of preference as far as what you want to do. Maybe or what I do is I'll do every week, I'll just switch up. I'll do back squat one week, next week I'll do front squat, and I'll just switch back and forth. And I feel like that's a good thing to do, just so you're kind of hitting them evenly and you're not focusing too much on one of them, to where maybe focusing more on those muscles. Like back squat, I said, is glutes and hamstrings, and then front squat is for quads. But you're gonna want to find a squat rack, which, if you don't know, looks like this. And also you can use a leg press machine, which looks like this. But the squat, I feel like, is just better, just because it works on a more natural kind of jumping form and can help with your vertical, just because you're more of in a jumping position, because leg press usually laying down or sitting down, and you're at an inclined position, to where it still works pretty much the same muscles, it just isn't as good for balance and vertical as much as squat is. The form for back squat, front squat, and leg press are all pretty straightforward, but I'm going to go over leg press first, just because the other two are pretty close and very similar. But for leg press, it's pretty basic. If you have a vertically inclined leg press, at least, pretty much all the same. But just have your feet about shoulder width apart on the platform, keep your back flat on the pad, and just let go of the safeties and just push the weight up, come down all the way, kind of as far as you can, or as far as the machine can go, and just push back out with your legs. Don't lock your legs out completely, because that's how you pretty much break your legs. because your legs aren't supposed to bend, one way, and if you lock them out, they can bend the other way, and you don't want that happening. You may have seen videos of people doing that, and I imagine that it's not, painless, and to where just don't lock your legs out when you're leg pressing, you'll be fine. But for back squat and front squat, starting out kind of with the bar, holding it. Back squat's pretty easy. You're just going to have the bar behind your back. You're going to want to have your hands further out than this. This is the farthest I can go just because it's the size of this thing. Just kind of show you. But front squat's a bit harder because some people, which I do, I'll have the bar right here. And this kind of puts more strain on your forearms and your wrists as far as holding the bar here, especially if you're doing a lot of weight. Some people also do this where they cross their hands, and this doesn't put nearly as much strain on your wrist because it's more in the neutral position rather than bent back, and you can definitely hold the weight there. But I just was kind of taught and have learned to hold it like this, and to where I just hold it like that. You kind of want to hold it, from my experience in front squat, if you do it this way, you want to kind of have the bar or your hands just wider than shoulders, to where the bar isn't, crushing your hand between your shoulder and the bar. But as far as that, that's pretty basic, holding the bar. But the form on those two is pretty similar. I'll try to scoot back so you can see my full body. But I'm going to throw this on my bed for now. But no matter where you have the bar, if it's behind or if it's in the front, when you go down, starting out, feet placement is kind of important because the further out you have your feet, the easier the lift is going to be. However, you're not going to be working on your jumping capability and your vertical as much the further you have your feet out, because nobody jumps with their feet super wide out. You jump with your feet pretty shoulder width apart. So if you're lifting kind of in that same level to where or in that same space of where your legs are, you're going to improve your vertical a lot more because your legs are used to that motion. If you're out more, you won't work on your vertical as much, but you will be able to lift more weight. So just keep that in mind. But it's just to have your legs at a comfortable position. Also, angling your feet out is also going to make it a bit easier as far as keeping your heels on the ground. It's very important. You don't want it to where when you go down, your heels come up to allow you to get to the depth that you need to. Depth is also kind of disputed as far as 90 degrees is the basic what you should hit as far as your upper leg where your quad and your hamstrings are should be 90 degrees to the ground. Some people say you can go beyond that. Some people say you shouldn't. It's kind of up to personal preference as far as everybody can handle it. My body can handle it, so I go all the way down to where pretty much I can't go any further. Powerlifters only go to 90 because, going anything past that is definitely harder, So hitting full depth on a squat rather than just 90 degrees is definitely going to be more difficult, but it's also going to work your legs a bit more as far as just the muscles. But so starting out with those two things as far as, I guess, depth and having your legs however far apart you need, it's pretty straightforward. You're just going to be going down and back up. If you want to hold it at the bottom, you can for extra stamina, but that's up to you, just like in bench, stuff like that. But the main thing with squat, besides your depth and your leg placement, is just keeping your back straight up. Because as you go down, your body's naturally going to want to lean forward, but it's important to try to keep your back as straight up and down as possible. And so let me lean my camera down a bit to where when you're at the bottom, you're not super far forward. You should keep your back straight. And to where if you are leaning forward, your back is still pretty straight and you're not leaning forward or trying to arch your back too much. It's pretty much the same on back and front squat. I'd say for front squat, it's actually easier to keep your upper body up more vertical, just kind of where the weight is. But if you're doing a lot of weight, you will have the tendency to lean forward more. So it kind of is a two-way street, in my opinion, on the front squat, but they are very basic movements, just squatting down, squatting back up. If you need to, just practice without any weight or just the bar with no weight on it. And then once you get more comfortable, you can just move and put weight on it however you all see fit. But basics are just get your feet placement down, make sure your heels are on the ground the entire time, Go to whatever depth you're comfortable to, and keep your upper back, or your back in general, as flat and as straight as possible, and also as vertically as possible. Don't be leaning too far forward, because then when you on the way back up, you're gonna be using a lot of back to get your back vertical, because when you're in the upright position, your back's vertical, so you have to go from, you know, this to this somehow, and that's gonna be using a lot of back, and you wanna be avoiding using your back. So yeah. The second exercise I want to talk about are calf raises, more specifically standing calf raises. And you can either do these with a squat rack, like the last exercise, which looks like this, or a calf raise machine, which looks like this. I prefer to use a calf raise machine just because there's usually one in the gym that you're working out in, and I don't want to take up a whole squat rack just to do this one exercise that like I said, there's usually a machine for. And as the name implies, this exercise is calves and should be only calves. You shouldn't be kind of shrugging the weight as you're doing it, and it should be very focused on those. But I'll jump into form here in a second. So form for calf raise is pretty straightforward regardless if you do just a regular barbell to do them or a machine to do them. The machine kind of can offer you a bit more range of motion depending on how the machine is set up. If the platform that you're doing it on is raised off the ground, you can go a little bit below parallel with your feet to give yourself just an extra bit of stretch and extension in your calves to work them a tad bit more. But there's kind of two ways you can do calf raises. You can either just keep your feet straight forward and just do them that way, or the way I've started to do them, because there's actually two main muscles in your calf on the left and the right side, even though I point at those opposite, are more just on the inside and outside. You'll have your feet either starting out facing in, or you'll have them facing out and just kind of alternate. Do one of them first and the second one, or do this one first and then that one, but it doesn't really matter. Just the order as far as you're doing them, but it's doing them that way because you're kind of focusing on each muscle individually in your calf more than just hitting both at the same time when your feet are parallel to each other. But like I said, the form is very, very basic. You either have your feet straight forward like this, and you just come up, come back down. You don't want to be bouncing the weight a lot. You want to be very controlled and very meticulous kind of with your movements as far as come up and go back down. Come up and go back down. Something that happens a lot as far as you're going to want to kind of come out sometimes. You never really want to go in, but you want to come out sometimes. You want to make sure you're going straight up with your calves and not out to the side. Just keep your ankles aligned and focus on doing that. The other way, like I was saying, is that you have your feet at an angle, and this is the same thing. You're just at an angle. It's literally the same exact movement, just at an angle with your feet either out, and then you can go in also like so. Very straightforward, very easy. Either variation works. You can also do all three to where you do maybe out, forward or straight, and then in. And very straightforward. Don't be using your shoulders to help lift the weight. Make sure all the movement's coming from your calf, and you're focusing just on that, focusing on moving straight up and down and not leaning out with your ankles at all. And that's pretty much it. The third exercise is going to be focused on your hamstrings, and there's two exercises you can do for this. Either Romanian deadlift, which you're going to require a bar for, so you're going to want to find a squat rack, or the second exercise is going to be hamstring curls, which you're going to want to find a hamstring machine, which looks like this. They both focus on the same thing, just very different form, and one uses a machine, one uses a free barbell. But like I said, they're both focused on hamstrings and both hit that muscle very well. So like I mentioned, for hamstrings, there's two different exercises you can do, and I'm going to start out with the Romanian deadlift first, which uses just a regular barbell to do in a squat rack or whatever your gym has. Romanian deadlift is very easy. It's kind of like regular deadlift, if you know what that is, except your legs are going to be straight or fairly close to straight. You're going to want to have your feet about shoulder width apart, grab the bar just outside your legs to where your hands are just outside, and you're going to reach down for the bar. You don't want to deadlift it like regular, so have your legs bent and all that. And then once you get the weight up to the top, This is the where we need the deadlift part rather than a regular deadlift part. And you're gonna bend your legs a tad bit, maybe 5-10 degrees, and you're just gonna come down with it. Keeping your back straight is very important. You're gonna come to where the weight is almost touching the ground, and then you're just gonna bring it back up and stand up straight as you're doing so. Keeping your back straight is very important in this. You don't injure it into where you don't want to be doing so much weight that your back can't handle. You want to be doing a good amount of weight to where you're still getting a good hamstring workout in, but you're not working your back as far as struggling to keep it straight as you're moving this weight. But it's very straightforward. Legs shoulder width apart, hands just outside, grab the bar, come up with it in that first rep to get it up initially, and then from there bend your legs a little bit, and then come down, and then come back up, and that's all it is. Just gonna repeat that, and you're gonna naturally want to kind of bend your legs a little bit more as you go down, but the straighter you keep them, the more hamstring it is. Into where the reason to keeping your back straight is that when you're standing back up, as my knee's popping, as you're standing back up, that pulling of your back up is coming from your hamstrings. That motion of your back getting pulled back up is your hamstrings kind of pulling you into that upward position, and that's where this hamstring comes into play. The hamstring curls, on the other hand, use a machine, and it's either going to be you're laying down on your stomach or it's going to be sitting down. If you're laying down on your stomach, your leg's going to be straight out behind you, and you're going to have a little black bar of some sort. And all you're going to be doing is just bringing that to your butt to where you hit that little pad thing or bar to your butt. You don't want to be slamming it to where your leg's going super fast. You want to have a weight that's on it that you can slowly come up and bring it. It's going to be both legs, but I can't really show that because you'll be laying down and I can't really do that. But, well, I guess I could lay down on the ground right here. But, oops. You're just going to be bringing that weight all the way back up to your butt and do it slow and controlled. I know this looks really weird from here, but it's just like that. The other variation of when you're sitting down, I can get my chair back over here. It's going to be the same as the quad extensions that I'm going to show next, but instead of coming up with your legs are going to start up in upright position like this, and you're just going to bring them down and curl them down towards your hamstring into where the bar is going to be underneath your leg in this variation, and you're just going to be bringing it down and then letting it back up. In both versions of the exercise and also Romanian, just be very controlled in how you're doing it, how you're moving the weight, and don't be swinging the weight, don't be doing anything like that. You don't want to be cheating yourself, and you don't want to be injuring yourself by pulling something because you're moving way too fast. So just be very meticulous, very slow, and all that, and you'll be fine. The fourth exercise I'm going to be covering today is going to be quad extensions, and for that you're going to want to find a machine that looks like this. And it can also be used for hamstring curls, but you're going to be sitting up rather than laying down. But some machines are for both, and you can kind of transform them in between the two. But yeah, your quads, like I mentioned earlier, are on the top side of your legs. They're visible if you look down, if you're sitting down. And this exercise is very easy to do, very easy for form, and I'll just hop right into that. The form for quad extensions is pretty straightforward. You're going to use a machine for it, so it's pretty hard to mess it up. But you're going to be sitting down in most cases. I don't think I've ever seen a quad extension machine that you're not sitting down. There's going to be a bar or pad against your kind of top of the foot to upper or lower shin. And all you're going to be doing is just bringing that up to where your leg is straight. I don't exaggerate as far as bringing it up so you can see it, but just gonna have it bring it up, and then that's it. You don't want to be swinging it around. You want to have a controlled movement. And also, like other machine exercises, and I haven't said this, but I'm gonna say it now, don't drop the weight. You're not cool for making a lot of sound dropping the weight, and all you're doing is messing up the machine. Just when you have it, bring it up, bring it down slowly, and let the weight down slowly also when you're done with your set. This is a very basic exercise. Like I said, you're on a machine, so it's very hard to screw up form, but yeah. The fifth and final exercise is going to be focused on two different muscles, but it uses the same machine, which looks like this. And this is going to be focused on your groin muscle, which is the inner leg, and then your hip muscle, which is on the outside of your leg. And it's a very straightforward machine. It just, the same machine's used for both because you can switch direction it goes, but like I said, form is very straightforward and it's pretty hard to mess it up, but I'll get into form anyways. The form for this exercise, or these two exercises for groin and for hips, uses the same exact machine. I'll show it again right here. But uses the same machine just because you use two different movements within the same machine. So for the hip part, you're going to have it to where there's going to be most likely two pads in the machine. And for the hip part, you want to put these pads on the outside of your leg and then load the weight up however much you want. And you're going to be sitting there back against the pad straight. And all you're going to be doing is just bringing your legs out. Keep them even. Don't have one leg coming out a lot more than the other. Keep it to where you're just bringing them out. The pads on that side of your leg just to have something to rest against and also to push against, and hopefully it's padded to where you're not, destroying your leg as you're doing this. But very basic. Just you don't want to have your legs touching each other like this at the very bottom of the rep or at the, where the machine doesn't have any weight on it. But just kind of parallel and just bring them out to a spot that you're comfortable with and bring it back in. Don't force trying to go out too far. You don't want to pull your groin or anything like that. But this is just going to work your hips on the outside. The groin part of it is the exact same thing, except, or kind of the exact same thing, but opposite. You're going to have the pad on the inside of your leg, because in this case, the bottom of this set, or of the exercise, so you don't have any weight load, is going to be on the outside. And then you're going to just bring your legs in, and then back out. Bring them in, back out. It's the opposite. Instead of going out, then back in, you're going in, then back out. This is going to work your groin. And for this exercise and for every other exercise, just be steady and consistent with your movements, and don't be moving the weight around too much. Your groin is definitely a very kind of fragile muscle, at least in my opinion and from my experience, to where you don't want to overextend. You don't want to go way too far out when you're setting this exercise up. Just go to a very comfortable weight or distance, and also comfortable weight to where you're not going to pull your groin trying to move way too much weight at the very beginning. Don't be afraid to start small and work your way up from there, just like with every other exercise. And that's going to conclude this video of my workout walkthrough series. If you'll have any questions or concerns or comments, anything like that, either email me at my email in the description or put it down in the comments and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Next workout walkthrough video, let me see. It's going to be abs. Hopefully that's going to be this weekend or this next week. If not, it'll just be delayed a week, but I'll get them out as soon as I can. School is definitely my top priority right now, but regardless, I'm still going to try to get these videos out for y'all to be able to use them. But hopefully what I said was useful to y'all and y'all can use this in y'all's workouts. But yeah, until next time. As your usual outro though, guys, hopefully with COVID y'all wearing y'all's mask in public and around people. If you could like the video, really appreciate it. If you could subscribe to the channel, really appreciate that. I'll catch y'all next time. So adios.